Don't bottle it up. I did. It doesn't work. For the first 4 years of our marriage, my wife, 27 female, cheated on me, 28 male. I am aware of 4 persons, probably a lot more. The first thing that comes to me is that I have low self-esteem. At the time, that was very likely correct. It was taken away from me. The first dagger I felt in my heart was when I discovered she had cheated on me 9 months before our first child was born. Should you get a DNA test? I can't since I'm an identical twin with the same DNA. Yes, the first infidelity I am aware of was with my twin. He informed me. I inquired and she said no. I've never asked. Again, when I found out, my kid was 3 years old. I informed my wife that we needed to take a break so that I could comprehend this. I was heartbroken. I still loved her and refused to accept the facts. I kept it pinned up. During the first week of our vacation, a buddy informed me that she was up with someone from her workplace. I was so upset that I puked and couldn't eat for many days. I decided to try fury instead of melancholy. So I went up to her place of employment to confront them after she informed me it was a lie and hung up on me. I thought I was going to get to beat his when I got there. Her automobile was present, but he was not. She was a bad parent and a nasty person at the time. But I still loved her, and all I wanted was for the anguish to cease. So I told her to come home and I'd forget everything. I was desperate for the anguish to cease. I promised God that I would be his best man on earth and that I would study the Bible every day. We were able to figure things out in the end. She returned as soon as I stopped caring. We relocated to Utah because I was promoted. I could see she was unhappy there. Every day during my lunch break, I tried to stimulate and excite her about our new city. But it didn't work. I was kissing her behind, and I hated myself for it. She did us wrong, not me. We ended up returning home. I allowed her to return 2 weeks early while I packed up the home. My soul sensed something was awry when she went home. I contacted my mother and told her I don't want her to remain at your place. I'm finished. Okay, she said. I was expecting her to answer certainly not. She has my grandchild. Her remark astounded me. I met up with a coworker when we were apart. When she found out I was separated, she brought me lunch every day. I attempted to inform my wife. She was very opposed to hearing it. I then returned home. I observed the lady drank every day. That night, I slept at my aunt's home with my mother, and around 2 a.m., my wife began blowing up my phone. She inquired whether we could speak. Nah, I thought. After going to a club, her companion dropped her off at my aunt's driveway. My mother awoke after hearing part of the conversation and said, "Tell her I'll take her mother." No, I answered, "I'll take her there." My mother is furious. I was very perplexed. My mother shouts deals with off. Inquire as to what she did. What happened, I asked. I caught her with Derek, my younger brother, on the sofa. My mother said. My mother called her a name and ordered her not to speak to me unless it was for my daughter and not to attempt to contact me again. My wife reneged on the agreement. Because she was inebriated, I drove her home and confronted her. We didn't have. I was simply resting next to him, she said. I didn't want to be injured again, experience the agony, or have my kid feel anything. My wife was shouting on the road that she didn't want to live any longer. I brought her inside her mother's home and waited for her to fall asleep so she wouldn't do something dumb. I sobbed when I realized she was asleep. My heart was broken once again. I elected to remain in order to alleviate the discomfort. I remained because I was afraid she would do further harm to me. I remained because I cared for her. I remained with her for the sake of our family. My baby will not know this anguish if I remain and accept the knocks. I bottled it all up. It devastated me, and I know my wife saw me broken. I too did not want to hear the truth. My wife returned to her hometown the next year to see her biological father's home. A month after that little vacation, I get an FB video call from her ex-girlfriend. My wife, she said, had broken up her family. She said she discovered an email on her boyfriend's phone that stated, "My tire is flat." My wife drove my vehicle, and my tire pressure indicator was always on. This made sense to me. She also provided pictures of my wife in dress. The same ones were sent to me by my wife. "I'm not shocked anymore," I remarked to my wife. When I mentioned that, my wife claimed it wrecked her. She quickly transformed. Overnight, she went to therapy, and all I could think was, I'm out of here as soon as my daughter is 18. Since then, 4 years ago, I've always claimed that I'll deal with this suffering when I'm ready. But she has also improved since then. She is a better mom than I am. She cooks, she cleans, and she really revolves her life around me. Worst of all, she has secluded herself. She is quite self-conscious. She believes I will cheat on her or leave her. She wants me to lower my guard, and I know we're meant to forgive, so I behave as if I have. I can't make her pay for errors made 4 to 10 years ago. I can tell her history interferes with her ability to live. And I am beautiful, humorous, and make everyone feel at ease. And I am certain that I am a terrific man. I don't want you to think I'm joking. I work and have previously worked many jobs to support our lifestyle. I'm quite good at hiding my emotions. I can feign happiness, and others see me as constantly upbeat and positive. Anyone who knows how much I struggle with this would be taken aback. The issue is that I either trust her or I don't care anymore. I'm not sure what the distinction is. I don't look at her phone. Nonetheless, I remain enraged. It's still painful. I know it's because I kept silent. It's been 4 years. Why the hell can't I simply let it go? Not all of the time, but there is often a quiet conflict going on in my thoughts. I despise myself for remaining. I despise myself for being silent. It has grown much better since then, but it is still present. It's really unjust of me to hold this against her since I decided to remain. I know I need to see a professional, but that will be difficult since I will have to conceal it, which will increase her concern. If I tell her, she'll realize it's all about her. I recently had an Adderall addiction, which she has thrown in my face a few times before bringing up her trash. She abruptly came to a stop in the conversation. Do I simply go without telling her why, letting her guess? This way, she won't have to relive her heinous crimes, forcing her to spiral into a profound melancholy. Is it okay if I attempt to speak to her about it? It's been 4 years. It will eventually expire. It isn't fair to bring it up since I remained. It's also unjust to me since I've had to live with falsehoods and no explanations. Also, why is it necessary to understand the specifics of cheating? Do you want to discover whether your wife has any preferences for acts? Did she get away? Did they make use of a condom? Did they kiss, for example? These particulars seem to be rather exact. Would understanding them not further complicate matters for you? A number of indicators indicate that spouses want specifics. Why? Do specifics aid in healing? I suppose I'm curious what a stranger thinks. Will the agony ever go away, with or without my marriage? Story 2. She cheated the whole 2 years, finally grabbed my balls and blocked her. I've known this girl since middle school, and I'm 32 years old. The first incidents occurred when we were initially officially in a relationship. We had a brief quarrel at a restaurant, and she got up and walked back to my home before the meal arrived. I sat there calmly since it was a good establishment, and paid, took the food to go, and strolled back to my house. I probably wasn't polite to her and called her names for humiliating both of us at that location, and sprayed some beer on her, and she departed for the night since some of our common friends were having a wedding reception party at the same restaurant. So she goes out that night, doesn't answer the phone, and then phones me at 2:45 a.m. And I'm irritated. She was with my childhood buddy and her husband, which made me feel better. She says that my buddy stole her phone and refused to allow her contact me because she was weeping and heartbroken, and so on. She shows up to my house the next day after phoning me all night, claiming she was coming over but never showed up. As soon as she drives up, I see a Snapchat notification and tell her to view it right away. It's this guy who was out with them, and he sends a photo of himself resting in his bed with the comment, "This is my hangover face, please take care of me." I looked her in the eyes and asked her if she had cheated on me, and she replied no. I also asked her if he had remained at my friend's place, and she said no. My lifelong buddy and her husband both said that it was just them at their home and that he was not there. Her justification was that he was joined to Snapchat automatically due to shared connections. I'm not buying it for a second. She also claimed that my longtime buddy, female, was attempting to get her to up with other males and forget about her. That is just the beginning. I looked through her phone after 2 years of on and off nonsense, and it was continuous drama and constantly talking to other people and exes contacting her, and she wondered why I would get furious. When she pulled these small phony breakups, she had no difficulty banning me on everything. Oh, she did meet up, get drunk, and the man from the first incident while we were truly separated for 2 months. I'm writing this because I had a bizarre dream about it last night. And that was only from the first month. Now I could write a book about what I was in the previous 2 years. And sure, she has other men during these phony breakups. Now that I'm recuperating, I've had her blocked on everything for 2 weeks. Only her phone number isn't blocked, and I don't have it stored, but I can't wait for the day she comes blowing up my phone number again, just so I can sit back and chuckle at her pitiful efforts to get me back, since this time the door is staying shut. Story 3. My wife has been caught cheating. Let me begin with some context. My wife and I are both 54 years old, M/F. 31 years of marriage. She works as a registered nurse at a hospital. I've been working for a house builder since I was 18 years old. We have 2 children, both of whom are in their 20s and have left the nest. We decided to follow my wife's ambition of owning a bed and breakfast when we were in our 40s. We've been searching for years on and off. We found a 5-acre plot of land with a house constructed in the 1870s. The original owners were significant landowners in the region. They had a vast agricultural business enterprise. Over time, fewer members of the family decided to continue farming. Land parcels were auctioned off. Our town is experiencing growth spurts since it has become rather touristic due to certain, shall we say, natural formations and attractiveness. Farmland near major motorways is being devoured. We bought a home and acreage distant from the motorways. My wife and I have been renovating the whole home since we purchased it. Some basic maintenance has been neglected, and we wish to restore the mansion to its former glory of 150 years ago. In addition to earning a livelihood, my wife has been in charge of beautifying rooms while I finish up with mortgage payments. I'm refurbishing room by room, paying for all materials and expert assistance as required. Because I am somewhat handy, I do the majority of the job. The housing business has skyrocketed in recent years. We work 8 days a week if we could. I was making a lot of money. Until last year, that is. We were out of work for a period in 2020 due to the epidemic. And then material shortages began. Of course, my wife had been on the front lines for the previous 18 months. She worked at the hospital for weeks without taking any days off last year. The medical personnel remained at the hospital. They had rooms where numerous people slept together. To put it mildly, the crew got extremely close. They worked for 4 weeks and then took 2 weeks vacation, starting in March of last year and continuing into the autumn, and then again after Thanksgiving. After the kids were grown, my wife always worked for others if they asked. She saw these young parents weep because they couldn't see their children. So, during their downtime, she would give up her vacation time and provide it to the staff members who truly needed it. There were others who did the same thing. Her whole COVID experience had an impact on her. Seeing people placed on ventilators, deaths, and so forth. She was no longer the same person. She was aloof. Our life had come to a halt. I put it down to her experiences or her age. I attempted to speak to her about it, but she said she simply didn't feel it anymore. We continued to collaborate on the home. We planned travels to a part of our state with a sizable Amish community. The Amish in this area are well known for their skill in woodworking and stitching. We purchased many pieces of furniture for the bedrooms, as well as handmade quilts. We had planned a 3-day excursion to this region to acquire dining room furniture this past weekend. I also pay in wood from the demolition of an old barn, which I undertake as a side hustle. Barnwood is in high demand. My supervisor calls to inform me that everyone will be working the whole week since he was able to buy wood and shingles for a home we've been sitting on while waiting for supplies. I informed my wife that we may travel on Saturday and Sunday. She informs me on Friday morning that she is still going with some coworkers since there is an autumn festival going on. That night, I head to a nearby tavern. One of her employees approaches her to say hi. I inquire whether she intends to accompany me on the vacation. She had no idea about it. So I contacted the wife, wondering whether she was okay and who else was there with her. She responded by texting this friend, another close friend, and a buddy named Stevie. I'd heard this name a couple times in the previous several months. I had always assumed they were feminine up to that point. I asked her bartender if she knew this Stevie. She declined, but there is a Steven who works for them. When will the wife return? On a Sunday afternoon. She has bags of tablecloths, napkins, and kitchen towels, among other things. She is showing me what she purchased. There was a tiny bag in one of the bags. She took it out, glanced inside, and said, "Oh, not this bag. It's not for us." I just let it go. Later, when I checked in the bag, I discovered that she had stashed it in a closet. It was decorations for a man cave for a college football team that I don't watch. Therefore, it wasn't for me. I requested to speak with her. I inquired once again as to where everyone had gone. She chose the same 3 persons each time. I simply wanted to know who Stevie was since we hadn't met before. She mentioned a lady they work with. I took out the man cave items and informed her I spoke with her buddy, who was supposed to be traveling last weekend, but her plans fell through. Then I asked again who Stevie was. She began to weep and told me who he was and that they were alone. They had an encounter. They have been since last year's hospital lockdown. As a result, she is currently residing in one of the completed bedrooms. I have access to our bedroom. On Monday, I'll consult with a lawyer. I'm at a loss for what to do with the home, the business, and the marriage. She was sorry she was caught, but not for the affair, she told me. I asked her if she was willing to call it quits with Stevie. She wasn't sure. Update: it's been a stressful couple of weeks. My wife and I were fighting as my business and side gigs picked up. I want to see a lawyer. He recommended we attempt to figure things out before he gets involved after I described everything. The residence is still not a company and hence cannot be sold as one. We'd have to market it as an incomplete home, which would reduce the price. We've spent well over $100,000 on the home, not including the mortgage. The lawyer will need to confer with a real estate attorney and maybe a business attorney. As a result, their fees will be hefty. So I approached the wife to ask if we can chat. I'm not sure whether she's ashamed about getting caught, but she's dug in her heels. She urged me to get out of the home. I informed her I had no intention of doing so. Then she retaliated by having me give up the master suite and relocate to one of the bedrooms. I assure her again that I don't intend to do it. She then says she'll be gone for a few days and will transfer all my belongings out and place them in the foyer for me to choose where I'll stay. As a result, I discontinued the discussion. I walked out to where I keep my supplies and got a new door lock with a push-button keypad. When we had visitors, I plan to put on the bedroom doors. After each visitor, we may modify the combination. I hung it on the master bedroom door. I went to work the following day. She was furious when I returned home after a day of receiving angry texts for putting the lock on. "How dare you lock me out of my bedroom?" she raged. I requested if we could please discuss after some back and forth. She eventually consented. We sat down later that evening. I told her I was upset to learn of the affair and that I wish she had informed me she wasn't happy. She was deafeningly silent. So I kept doing that because, as far as I'm concerned, the marriage is finished. She just nodded her head. I then informed her that I had seen an attorney. Her expression took her off guard. I stated to the attorney that it would be great if we could reach an agreement on what to do. The home is our most valuable asset, and selling it would result in a significant loss. I can document that I have paid the mortgage, thus the home is mine, she added with a grin. No, I said, shaking my head. My lawyer indicated that the home is a marital asset. The mortgage is in both of their names. I then took out a couple of binders. Every receipt that I have spent is classified by room on what I have spent. I began this just out of curiosity and continued as we completed rooms. I have proof that I spent thousands of dollars renovating the residence. The receipts took her off surprise. She hasn't seen an attorney yet. I offered that we live in peace and complete the home jointly. The B&B may thereafter be established. At the time, she could buy me out of the company. She dug her heels in once again. No, I must go. If not, she intends to relocate Stevie. This stung a little asterisk. I stood up and went to get a drink of water to gather my thoughts. When I returned to the table, I warned her that if I saw him in the home or on the land, I would begin demolishing everything he had done. I'd pull out every nail and screw I'd placed in. Every light fixture and plumbing fixture would be removed. I promised not to destroy them since I owned them. I'd replace them with whatever old scrap material I could locate. I told you to think about it and talk to whomever is offering you dime store advice. Please let me know. She came to see me yesterday. We hadn't spoken in a few days. She asked if we could speak about it again. She had spoken with our children. I had contacted each of them and informed them of the situation. Our daughter proposed that we remain in the home until it was finished, begin the business like I advised. Then I could maybe walk out while still owning 50% of the company. Mom might operate the company by hiring an employee or two to assist run it, perform yard maintenance, and give Mom a day off. I assured her I'd think about it, but my opinion of Stephen would not alter. So I have another meeting with the attorney. The main difficulty is that we will most likely not be in business until 2023. The exterior requires a lot of work, as does the landscaping, and we need to build a room for one of us to live in. The room I'm in is one of the available for rent. So there you have it, guys. If you need more videos like these on Deep Turkish Confessions, then smash that like button and subscribe now and stay tuned for more videos like these.